An effective board of directors requires an appropriate balance between executive directors and non-executive directors, NEDs, together with a clear allocation of leadership responsibilities between the chairperson and the chief executive officer, CEO. Modern corporate governance recognizes that board effectiveness depends not only on the competence of individual directors but also on board independence, accountability, diversity of perspectives, and the separation of strategic oversight from executive management. Within the program, the inclusion of NEDs and the separation of the chairperson and CEO roles are fundamental governance mechanisms designed to reduce agency conflicts, strengthen board oversight, and promote sustainable long-term value creation. These structures improve transparency, protect shareholder interests, and reduce the concentration of power within a single individual or executive team. Non-executive directors, NEDs, are independent members of the board who are not involved in the day-to-day management of the organization. Unlike executive directors, who hold operational responsibilities, NEDs contribute objective judgment, external experience, and independent challenge to board discussions. Their independence enables them to evaluate executive proposals without conflicts arising from operational involvement or personal management interests. Consequently, NEDs strengthen governance by providing constructive challenge, monitoring executive performance, overseeing risk management, and safeguarding shareholder and stakeholder interests through impartial oversight. Independent judgment is particularly valuable during major strategic decisions, acquisitions, restructuring programs, executive remuneration reviews, and risk management discussions where objective evaluation is essential. The presence of NEDs on the board offers several important governance advantages. Their primary monitoring role reduces agency problems by holding executive directors accountable for strategic decisions and organizational performance. Independent oversight discourages managerial opportunism while strengthening transparency and accountability. NEDs also contribute additional expertise, bringing external industry knowledge, financial experience, governance capability, and strategic insight gained from other organizations. This broader experience enhances board decision-making and supports more balanced strategic evaluation. Furthermore, the inclusion of independent directors improves the public perception of the company, signaling to investors, regulators, and stakeholders that governance standards are robust and objective. Finally, NEDs facilitate communication with stakeholders and introduce greater discipline into strategic decision-making, ensuring that executive proposals receive appropriate scrutiny before implementation. Despite these benefits, the appointment of NEDs also presents several governance challenges. Independent directors may weaken the unity of the board if excessive challenge leads to conflict between executive and non-executive members. The overall effectiveness of governance also depends heavily on the quality of NEDs, including their competence, independence, commitment, and understanding of the organization's business model. Weak or inexperienced NEDs may contribute little strategic value despite satisfying formal governance requirements. In addition, NEDs carry significant legal and fiduciary liabilities, requiring them to exercise appropriate professional judgment despite limited involvement in daily operations. Boards must therefore ensure that NEDs receive sufficient information, training, and access to management to perform their governance responsibilities effectively. An equally important governance principle concerns the separation of the roles of chairperson and chief executive officer, CEO. Modern corporate governance codes emphasize that a clear division of responsibilities must exist at the head of the company, and no individual should have unfettered powers of decision. Separation ensures that strategic oversight remains distinct from executive management, thereby reducing the concentration of authority and strengthening board independence. The framework identifies representation, accountability, and reduced self-interest as principal reasons for dividing these positions. The chairperson acts as the representative of shareholders without executive conflict, while separation creates a clear reporting relationship through which the CEO remains accountable to the board rather than exercising unchecked authority. The chairperson is responsible for leading the board rather than managing the organization's daily operations. The chair ensures that the board establishes and implements corporate strategy effectively, facilitates constructive board discussion, promotes effective governance, and acts as the organization's principal representative in communication with shareholders and external stakeholders. Through effective leadership of board meetings and governance processes, the chairperson ensures that directors receive appropriate information, independent challenge is encouraged, and strategic decisions reflect long-term organizational interests rather than short-term managerial priorities. The chief executive officer, CEO, by contrast, is responsible for the operational management and performance of the company. The CEO implements the strategy approved by the board, manages executive operations, allocates organizational resources, leads employees, and ensures that performance objectives are achieved. Importantly, the CEO remains accountable to the chairperson and the board of directors through regular performance reporting and strategic review, reinforcing governance accountability and managerial discipline. Although governance codes generally recommend separating these positions, arguments against separation also exist. A single leader may promote organizational unity, avoid conflict between two senior offices, and possess comprehensive organizational knowledge that facilitates faster strategic decision-making. However, the governance framework concludes that concentration of authority increases governance risk and reduces accountability, making role separation the preferred governance practice in listed companies. For candidates, understanding the governance role of NEDs on the board and the separation of the chairperson and CEO positions is fundamental to evaluating board effectiveness and corporate governance quality.